two champions, 48 hours, one historic breakthrough. Alexis Eala just dismantled the impossible, one set at a time. She walked into Washington with a world ranking of no. 28 and a dream of cracking the top 25. She walks out of Rock Creek Park having conquered an Olympic gold medalist and the defending champion, back-to-back. With every swing, she's proving that the girl from the basketball courts of Quezon City is ready to take on the world. Is this the moment the tennis world finally realizes they're witnessing history? The lights of Rock Creek Park were still adjusting to the evening shadows. But inside the stadium, something far more intense was about to unfold. 3 years of pain. 3 years of wondering what if. 3 years of using that loss as fuel. Alex Eala had carried the memory of that defeat in Hangzhou like a wound that refused to heal. September 28, 2023. The Asian Games semifinals. She had been just 18 years old, ranked world number 190, facing the top-seeded Zheng Qinwen in front of a roaring Chinese crowd that packed every seat. The match had lasted 3 hours and 11 minutes, a grueling battle that saw her save match points, force a third set, and push the future Olympic champion to the absolute brink. And then she had fallen short, 6-1, 6-7, 5, 6-3, the scoreline that had haunted her ever since. But that was then, this was now. Standing across the net from her in Washington was the same woman who had broken her heart, Zheng Qinwen, the Olympic gold medalist, the former world number 4, the Australian Open finalist. But the woman who stepped onto the court at the William H.G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center was not the same player who had dominated the tour just 2 years ago. And neither was Eala. The Filipina superstar had climbed to a career-high world no. 28 after a historic Wimbledon run that made her the first Filipino singles player to reach the 4th round of a Grand Slam in the Open era. She had stunned defending champion Iga Swiatek on center court. She had beaten Elena Rybakina and Alina Svitolina back-to-back in Berlin. She had proven she belonged among the elite. Zheng, meanwhile, was fighting her own battle. A right elbow injury that required surgery after Wimbledon T25 5 had derailed her momentum. She had dropped out of the top 100 after first-round exits at both the French Open and Wimbledon. Her current ranking of number 123 was a stark reminder of how far she had fallen. But she had reached the quarterfinals of the Athens Open just weeks earlier, showing glimpses of the form that made her an Olympic champion. And now, on the hard courts of Washington, they were meeting again. The match began with both players finding their rhythm. But it was Eala who struck first, breaking Zheng's serve to take an early lead. The crowd, packed with Filipino supporters waving Philippine flags, erupted. But Zheng, the Olympic champion, responded the way champions do. She broke back and then took control of the first set, closing it out 6-4. Eala had been here before. In Hangzhou, she had lost the first set too, and then she had fought back. The second set was a test of wills. Zheng continued to dominate from the service line, racking up 14 aces throughout the match, and broke Eala's serve in the 7th game to take a 4-3 lead. The Olympic champion was in control. She was 2 games away from victory. The crowd fell silent, but Alex Eala refused to follow the script. She broke Zheng back at love, sparking a run of 7 consecutive games that would completely flip the match on its head. She took the second set 6-4, then raced to a 4-0 lead in the decider. Zheng briefly stopped the bleeding by breaking Eala's serve, but the Filipina was unstoppable. She broke back and held her serve to close out the match 6-1 in the final set. The victory marked more than just a win. It was redemption. I think the fighting spirit is within me. That's a mindset I have, Eala said after the match. With more experience, I'm learning to implement it at a higher level. That just comes also with the level of my tennis getting higher, because you always want to win and you always want to fight. But I think now with the progress I've had this past year, I have a bit more of ammunition to back it up. The head-to-head record was now tied at 1-1. Eala had done what she couldn't do 3 years ago. She had conquered the Olympic champion. But there was no time to celebrate. Waiting in the second round was an opponent who had already beaten her this year, an opponent who shared her heritage, her fighting spirit, and her left-handed game. An opponent who had already proven she could dismantle Eala's game. Leylah Fernandez, the defending champion. The revenge against Jung was complete. But the real test was just beginning. The revenge against Jung was complete. The Olympic demon had been exorcised. But there was no time to celebrate. Because waiting in the second round was the woman who had already proven she could break Eala's game apart. Leylah Fernandez, the defending champion. The 2021 U.S. Open finalist. The player who had dismantled Eala 6-1, 6-4 on the indoor clay of Stuttgart just 3 months earlier. That defeat had been a rude awakening for the Filipina superstar. A reminder that there were levels to this sport that she had yet to reach. Now, on the hard courts of Washington, she had a chance to prove how far she had come. The match began exactly as Eala had hoped. She dominated the opening set in just 34 minutes, winning it 6-2. Her ground strokes were finding their mark. Her movement was crisp. Fernandez committed 14 unforced errors in the first sets alone, and Eala pounced on every opportunity. But champions don't go away quietly. The second set was a different story. Fernandez found her rhythm. Her variety was overwhelming. Her movement was sharp. She won 5 straight games, racing to a 5-1 lead. The crowd fell silent. The ghosts of Stuttgart were creeping back. Eala was just 1 game away from seeing her victory slip away into a deciding third set. But something happened at 1-5. Something that would change everything. Eala found another gear. She had been in this position before. Against Swiatek at Wimbledon, she had saved match points. Against Jung in Washington, she had fought back from a set and a breakdown. She didn't fold. She didn't quit. She fought. I think I had definitely some tough moments in that match, and credit to Leylah, she put me in some really tough positions, Eala said after the match. I'm super proud of how I fought and how I stayed in there. She began to claw her way back. Eala won 5 consecutive games, turning a 1-5 deficit into a 6-5 lead. The crowd erupted. Philippine flags waved everywhere. The momentum had shifted completely. Fernandez, who had been in control just minutes earlier, was now scrambling. I know that she was playing a little better, and maybe my level dropped a little bit, Eala admitted. I think those are very tricky moments when you know your level's dropped and you want to do better. But things just, for one reason or another, aren't coming out. I think patience was key there, and just trying to work it out and have a strong mentality in terms of trying to find solutions. Fernandez managed to hold serve in the 12th game to force a tiebreak. But the tiebreak was all Eala. She grabbed a 5-1 lead, capitalizing on Fernandez's unforced errors. The Canadian finished the match with 42 unforced errors total. A number that told the story of a player who had lost her composure when it mattered most. Then, Eala sealed the match with back-to-back forehand winners, closing it out 7-1 in the tiebreak. The final score read 6-2, 7-6-1. The match lasted 1 hour and 53 minutes. The comeback was complete. The defending champion was dethroned. This was the second tournament in a row where Eala had defeated the defending champion. Just weeks earlier, she had stunned Iga Swiatek on center court at Wimbledon. Now she had done it again. And she had avenged her loss to Fernandez in Stuttgart, leveling their WTA Tour head-to-head record at 1-1. What would you do if you were down 1-5 and everything seemed to be slipping away? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. Stay patient, stay composed, and trust that the fight would find its way back. The cheering has faded, the lights have dimmed, but the numbers on the scoreboard tell a story that will be remembered for years to come. 2 champions, 48 hours, 1 statement. Alex Eala walked into Rock Creek Park ranked world number 28 with a dream of cracking the top 25. She walked out having conquered an Olympic gold medalist and the defending champion, back-to-back. And the numbers behind those victories reveal exactly why the tennis world is finally paying attention. The first chapter of this historic run began against Jung Qinwen, the Paris 2024 Olympic gold medalist, the former world number 4, the woman who had broken Eala's heart in the 2023 Asian Games semifinals. The match lasted 2 hours and 28 minutes, a grueling battle that tested every ounce of the Filipina's endurance. Down a set and a break at 3-4 in the second frame, Eala refused to surrender. She reeled off 7 consecutive games to take the second set and build a commanding 4-0 lead in the decider. The final score read 4-6, 6-4, 6-1. The victory completed a rare feat. Eala had now defeated all 3 medalists from the 2024 Paris Olympics: gold medalist Jung Chinwen, silver medalist Donna Vekic, and bronze medalist Iga Swiatek. It was a statement that she belongs among the elite. But there was no time to celebrate, because waiting in the wings was an even bigger challenge. Leylah Fernandez, the defending champion, the 2021 U.S. Open finalist, the woman who had dismantled Eala 6-1, 6-4 on the indoor clay of Stuttgart just months earlier. The match would be Eala's chance at redemption, and she delivered. The first set was a masterclass. Eala dominated from the start, winning 6-2 in just 34 minutes. The key statistic? Unforced errors. Eala committed just 4, while Fernandez racked up 14. That's not just winning, that's controlling the match. But the second set was a different story. Fernandez found her rhythm. She won 5 straight games, racing to a 5-1 lead. The ghosts of Stuttgart were creeping back. The defending champion was just 1 game away from forcing a decider. And then, Eala did what she does best. She fought back. She won 5 consecutive games, turning a 1-5 deficit into a 6-5 lead. Fernandez forced a tiebreak, but it was all Eala. She raced to a 5-1 advantage and sealed it with back-to-back forehand winners. Final score read 6-2, 7-6-1. The match lasted 1 hour and 53 minutes. The numbers behind the victory tell the full story. Fernandez committed 46 unforced errors to Eala's 19. It was a testament to the Filipina's resilience and mental fortitude, and the prize money reflects the magnitude of her achievement. For advancing to the quarterfinals, Eala has already secured $47,750. A victory in the next round would add another $43,150, bringing her total to $90,900 for the tournament. In 2026 alone, she has emerged as the Philippines' highest-earning netter of all time, bagging a total of $54 million in prize money. But the numbers that matter most are the ranking points. With this victory, Eala has added 108 ranking points to her tally. Just 163 points separate her from world number 24. A deep run in Washington could vault her into the top 20 for the first time in her career. What would you do if you were down 1-5 and everything seemed to be slipping away? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. Stay patient, stay composed, and trust that the fight would find its way back. The scoreboard showed a victory. The crowd erupted in celebration. But when Alex Eala finally spoke, her words revealed the true story behind the comeback. And that story was about something far more important than tennis. It was about mindset. The match against Leylah Fernandez had been a roller coaster. A dominant first set, a second set that nearly slipped away, a comeback that left the tennis world stunned. And when Eala sat down for her post-match interview, she didn't just talk about her victory. She talked about the mentality that had carried her through the toughest moments. The windy conditions? It was definitely a factor, but ultimately something I couldn't control, Eala said, reflecting on the challenging environment at Rock Creek Park. I think I had some tough moments in the match, and credit to Leylah. She put me into some really tough positions. Those words revealed something important about Eala's approach. She didn't make excuses. She didn't blame the conditions. She acknowledged her opponent's quality and took responsibility for her own performance. I know that she was playing a little better, and maybe my level dropped a little bit, she admitted. I think those are very tricky moments when you know your level's dropped, and you want to do better, but things just, for one reason or another, aren't coming out. That's the moment that separates good players from great ones. The moment when everything is going wrong and you have to find a way back. Eala had been there before. Against Swiatek at Wimbledon, she had saved match points. Against Rybakina in Berlin, she had come back from a set down. Each experience had taught her something valuable. I think patience was key there, she said. Just trying to work it out and have a strong mentality in terms of trying to find some solutions. Patience. That was the word she kept returning to. Not power, not aggression. Patience. The willingness to wait for the right moment. The discipline to stay composed when everything seemed to be slipping away. I think I'm super proud of how I fought and how I stayed in there, she added. The emotional moment after the match spoke volumes. Eala shared an emotional moment with her coaching team, highlighting the trust that has helped guide her progress on the WTA Tour. She acknowledged Joan Bosch, her coach from the Rafa Nadal Academy, and the rest of her team. Joan, who's here with me, is my confidant. I trust in him a lot, as well as my team who's back home, she said. I think it helps me feel like I'm not alone on court. That sense of being supported, of not being alone, was exactly what had carried her through the toughest moments. Having good people around you and people you trust with your best interests at heart is incredibly important, Eala has said. They're the ones who you trust to tell you both good and bad things. If I need to improve on something, I've heard it from them. I have all the right people to give me constructive criticism, who ultimately want to guide me wherever I want to go. I believe in myself a lot, and that's a core value, she has emphasized. It's one of the foundations of my mentality and how I approach my competitions. That self-belief was on full display against Fernandez. Down 1-5 in the second set, with the defending champion just one game away from forcing a decider, Eala never lost faith. She trusted her training, she trusted her team, and she trusted herself. I think it's just part of my character, but then again, every single player here is a fighter, Eala said when asked about her fighting spirit. And whether it's my opponent today, the one yesterday, the one before that, or the one tomorrow, we're here because we're fighters, so you can never count anybody out. What would you do if you were down 1-5 and everything seemed to be slipping away? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. Stay patient, stay composed, and trust that the fight would find its way back. Because champions don't quit. And Alex Eala had proven she was a champion. The defending champion has been dethroned. The Olympic gold medalist has been conquered. But for Alex Eala, the journey is far from over. Standing between her and a semifinal berth is a familiar face or a dangerous qualifier. The quarterfinals of the Wimbledon DC Open await, and Eala will face either second seed Elina Svitolina of Ukraine or Uzbek qualifier Polina Kudermetova. The match will be played on July 31, 2026, under the lights of Rock Creek Park. Both opponents present unique challenges, and Eala has history with both. Svitolina, the world know. 10 is a player Eala has already beaten. In their lone meeting at the quarterfinals of the Berlin Open last month, the Filipina superstars stunned the Ukrainian veteran on grass. But hard courts are a different surface, and Svitolina is a different player. The 32-year-old has been one of the most consistent performers on the WTA Tour for years. She knows how to win. She knows how to grind out victories. She knows how to make young players pay for their mistakes. Kudermetova, on the other hand, is a player Eala has never beaten. The Uzbek qualifier, currently ranked world number 34, has faced Eala twice before, both times on the ITF circuit. At the W50 Indoor in 2024 and the W100 Dubai in 2024, Kudermetova emerged victorious on both occasions. But those matches were on a different stage. Eala was a different player. The ITF circuit is a world away from a WTA 500 tournament, and Eala's evolution has been nothing short of remarkable. The numbers behind Eala's current run tell a story of dominance. Against Fernandez, Eala committed just 19 unforced errors while forcing the Canadian into 46. That's a staggering difference, and it's exactly what champions do. They stay steady while their opponents crumble. They remain patient while others rush. They trust their game when everything seems to be slipping away. I think patience was key there, Eala said after the match. I was trying to work it out and have a strong mentality in terms of trying to find some solutions. The ranking implications of a quarterfinal victory are significant. A win would add another 195 ranking points to Eala's tally, so pushing her even closer to the top 20. The gap from world number 28 to world number 24 is only 163 points. A deep run in Washington could vault her into the top 25 or even the top 20 for the first time in her career. Former world no. 4 Greg Rusedski has already declared he'd love to see her in the top 20. But for Eala, the money and rankings have never been the point. I do think that representation is a very powerful thing, she has said. It's very impactful when someone sees themselves in you. In Washington, that representation has been on full display. The Philippine flags that filled every section, the chants that echoed across rock